Watch before Christmas. Your bank account will thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Today is not an accident, and this moment is not random. If you found yourself drawn here, it is because something within you knows that timing matters, and right now, timing is speaking. As the world rushes toward Christmas, many hearts are filled with excitement, but just as many are quietly weighed down by concern. Bills, responsibilities, expectations, and the pressure to provide can whisper fear into even the strongest minds. Yet this gathering is not about fear. It is about clarity. It is about alignment. It is about understanding a truth so simple and so powerful that once you see it, you cannot unsee it, ladies and gentlemen. Money is not just numbers in a bank account. It is a reflection. It mirrors belief, expectation, and inner agreement. Long before money ever moves in your external world, it shifts internally. What you consistently assume, what you quietly accept as just the way it is, and what you repeatedly tell yourself when no one is listening, these are the forces shaping your financial experience. And as Christmas approaches, those inner conversations matter more than ever. Too many people have been conditioned to believe that this season must bring strain. They brace themselves for loss, telling themselves that December is expensive, that savings will disappear, and that stress is inevitable. That belief, repeated year after year, becomes a pattern, and patterns reproduce results. But tonight, we are not here to repeat patterns. We are here to interrupt them. We are here to challenge the assumptions that have silently governed your finances, and to replace them with something far more powerful: conscious expectation. Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest mistake people make is waiting for circumstances to change before they change their mindset. They say, once I have more, I'll relax, or when the money comes, I'll believe. But life does not work that way. Belief always goes first. Expectation always leads. The inner decision precedes the outer evidence. And when that inner decision shifts, the outer world must respond, because it has no other choice. This is not about blind optimism or empty positivity. It is about understanding how reality truly operates. When you stop rehearsing lack and start assuming order, provision begins to organize itself around you. When you release panic and adopt calm confidence, opportunities emerge that were invisible before. When you stop labeling yourself as struggling and start identifying as supplied, your behavior, choices, and outcomes transform naturally. Ladies and gentlemen, what you are about to hear is not meant to entertain you. It is meant to reposition you. It is designed to help you step into this season with a different posture, a different expectation, and a different inner agreement. Christmas does not have to drain you. This season does not have to take from you. With the right understanding, it can become the moment where your financial story shifts quietly, powerfully, and permanently. Stay open, stay present, because what you assume from this moment forward will determine not just how you end this year, but how you begin the next. Belief is not passive, it is creative. Every financial outcome you experience is the result of an internal agreement you made long before money ever appeared or disappeared. What you believe about money becomes the lens through which every opportunity, decision, and reaction passes. If you assume money is scarce, difficult, or temporary, you unconsciously behave in ways that confirm that assumption. But when you shift the belief, the behavior follows, and the results have no option but to change. Most people think their bank balance determines their belief, but the truth is the opposite. Your belief determines your bank balance. The outer world only reflects what the inner world has accepted as normal. This is why two people can earn the same income yet live in completely different financial realities. One lives in constant anxiety, while the other experiences stability and growth. The difference is not income, it is assumption. One assumes money slips away. The other assumes money stays, multiplies, and returns. Your subconscious does not argue with you. It does not analyze your statements or question their logic. It simply accepts repetition as truth. Every time you say, money never lasts for me, or I'm always broke by the end of the month, you are issuing instructions. The mind obeys and life arranges itself to prove you right. This is not punishment, it is precision. Life is responding to what you believe to be true about yourself and your resources. What you repeatedly expect feels familiar, and familiarity becomes comfort, even if it is uncomfortable. Struggle can become a habit. Lack can become an identity. When this happens, abundance feels foreign and even unsafe. People sabotage financial progress not because they hate success, but because success contradicts their internal belief system. The mind always tries to return you to what feels normal. If struggle is normal, it will find ways to recreate it. To change your financial experience, you must first redefine what feels normal. This does not happen by wishing for more money. It happens by assuming stability, ease, and sufficiency as your default state. When you internally agree that money flows to you consistently, your choices begin to reflect confidence instead of fear. You stop rushing, stop panicking, and stop making decisions driven by scarcity. Calm becomes your advantage. Belief shapes perception. When you believe opportunity exists, you see it. When you believe it does not, you overlook it. The same job offer, idea, or conversation can feel insignificant to one person and life-changing to another. The difference is not the opportunity, it is the belief system interpreting it. Money often arrives disguised as ideas, connections, or timing, but only belief recognizes its own supply. Many people unknowingly block financial growth by attaching emotional weight to money. They fear losing it, mismanaging it, or not deserving it. That fear creates tension, and tension restricts flow. Money responds best to neutrality and authority, not desperation. When you treat money as something that naturally circulates in your life, it moves with ease. When you treat it as something you must chase or cling to, it resists. Your belief about money also affects how long it stays. Some people receive money easily but lose it quickly because their assumption is that money comes and goes. Others hold on to money effortlessly because they believe money stays with them. The belief does not change the amount earned, it changes the duration and growth of what is earned. Retention is belief in action. To assume abundance does not mean ignoring responsibility or reality. It means refusing to let temporary numbers dictate permanent beliefs. Numbers fluctuate, but belief stabilizes. When you remain internally consistent regardless of external movement, life recalibrates to match that consistency. Stability is not something you wait for, it is something you embody. Every financial breakthrough begins the same way, with a quiet internal decision. A decision to stop repeating old stories. A decision to stop identifying with lack. A decision to see yourself as someone who is provided for, supported, and guided. Once that decision is made, the outer world begins rearranging itself. Not instantly, not dramatically, but inevitably. Belief works even when you are unaware of it. That is why becoming conscious of what you believe is the most powerful financial move you can make. Observe your inner dialogue. Listen to how you talk about money when you are tired, stressed, or alone. Those moments reveal your true assumptions. Change those assumptions, and you change the instructions you are giving to life. You do not need permission to believe differently. You do not need evidence to begin. Evidence follows belief, not the other way around. The moment you assume that money supports you instead of opposes you, your relationship with it transforms. And when your relationship changes, the results must follow. Because belief is the foundation upon which every financial reality is built. A season only has power because you give it meaning. December itself is neutral. It does not arrive with instructions to drain you, pressure you, or empty your bank account. Yet for many people, the moment the calendar turns, an internal script activates. They begin expecting expenses to rise, money to disappear, and stress to increase. That expectation becomes an agreement. And once an agreement is made internally, life simply follows it. People do not suffer financially in December because December is difficult. They suffer because they have trained themselves to associate this time with loss. Year after year, the same story is told. Everything is expensive. This month always hurts. I just need to survive until January. Repetition turns statements into beliefs and beliefs into outcomes. The season is responding to the story, not the calendar. When you label a month as draining, you unconsciously prepare for depletion. You spend with tension, save with fear, and make decisions from a mindset of scarcity. That mindset narrows perception. You overlook support, miss opportunities, and react emotionally instead of strategically. What feels like financial inevitability is actually conditioned expectation playing itself out. A season behaves according to how it is defined internally. When you define December as expensive, it demands more. When you define it as fruitful, it organizes differently. This is not about denial or pretending obligations do not exist. It is about removing the emotional charge that creates unnecessary loss. Calm expectation allows order. Panic invites chaos. Many people unknowingly give December authority over them. They surrender their sense of control and say, "This is just how it is." But the moment you stop outsourcing your financial experience to a season, you reclaim power. A month cannot decide your outcome, only your assumptions can. Financial strain often increases during this time because people expect it to. Expectation drives behavior. When you expect loss, you rush purchases, overextend generosity, and ignore boundaries. You spend not from joy, but from pressure. Pressure is expensive. Calm is efficient. The shift from pressure to calm can save more money than any budget ever will. There is also a deep emotional association attached to December: comparison. People compare gifts, lifestyles, celebrations, and appearances. Comparison silently drains finances because it pulls spending out of alignment with values. When you stop measuring your season against someone else's, your money returns to obedience. It begins serving you instead of impressing others. December does not require excess, it exposes habits. If there is financial stress, it reveals patterns that were already present. The mistake is blaming the season instead of observing the behavior. Awareness is corrective. The moment you stop saying, December takes everything, and start saying, I decide how this month treats me, the dynamic changes. When you treat December as a season of loss, you close yourself off to unexpected provision. Your mind becomes hyper, focused on what is leaving instead of what could arrive. Yet many financial shifts happen precisely when people relax their resistance. Support often comes quietly in the form of help, ideas, discounts, bonuses, or timing. But you must be open to receive it. Rewriting the story of December requires intention. You do not wait for evidence, you establish meaning first. You decide that this month supports you. You decide that money remains with you. You decide that generosity does not impoverish you. These decisions reshape your inner posture, and posture shapes outcome. There is power in declaring a season favorable. Not loudly, not emotionally, but internally and consistently. When you move through December with steadiness instead of survival mode, you send a different signal. You act with clarity, choose wisely, and respond rather than react. Order emerges where chaos once lived. Financial peace during December is not about restriction, it is about alignment. Alignment means your spending matches your values, not your fears. It means you give because you want to, not because you feel obligated. It means you celebrate without self-betrayal. When alignment replaces obligation, money flows more intelligently. A season only drains those who agree to be drained. The moment you withdraw that agreement, December loses its grip. It becomes just another month, one that can carry joy without cost, celebration without strain, and generosity without regret. You do not need more income to change your December experience. You need a new assumption. When the assumption changes, the behavior changes. When the behavior changes, the outcome follows. The season has no authority beyond what you assign to it. When you stop treating December like a financial storm and start treating it like a neutral landscape, you move differently. You think clearly. You choose deliberately. And you discover that the month did not take from you. It simply reflected what you expected it to be. Words are not decorations, they are directions. Every sentence you speak about money is giving it instructions on how to behave in your life. Most people underestimate the creative power of their language because they think words are just expressions of reality. In truth, words are shaping reality moment by moment. When it comes to finances, what you say consistently matters far more than what you say occasionally. Money responds to identity and expectation, and language is how identity is reinforced. When you say, I can't afford this, you are not just describing a situation, you are declaring a position. That position becomes familiar, and familiarity turns into a pattern. The mind listens carefully to repetition, not intention. Even jokes about being broke or always struggling are accepted as commands when repeated often enough. Many people speak about money from a place of anxiety without realizing it. They narrate bills, complain about prices, and rehearse fear out loud. Each complaint feels justified, but together they form a language of depletion. The subconscious cannot distinguish between venting and instruction. It hears a story of lack and organizes life to match that story. Every word carries emotional weight. Words spoken with stress accelerate loss, while words spoken with calm authority stabilize flow. This is why two people can say similar things and experience different outcomes. One speaks from panic, the other from confidence. Money reacts to the tone beneath the words, not just the words themselves. Silence can be more powerful than negative speech. If you cannot speak with certainty, it is better to say nothing than to rehearse doubt. Complaining feels like relief in the moment, but it creates a cycle that demands repetition. Calm observation breaks that cycle. You do not need to deny circumstances, you simply stop narrating them emotionally. Language also shapes how long money stays. When you constantly say, money comes and goes, you train yourself to expect loss. When you say, money supports me, you establish continuity. Retention is not just financial discipline, it is verbal consistency. What you declare as normal becomes your experience. Your words influence your decisions. When you constantly say you are struggling, you justify rushed spending, emotional purchases, and financial shortcuts. The language creates permission. But when your words reflect stability, your behavior follows suit. You pause, evaluate, and choose wisely. Language is the bridge between belief and action. There is a difference between awareness and rehearsal. Awareness notices a bill. Rehearsal talks about it repeatedly. Awareness acknowledges an expense. Rehearsal worries out loud. Only rehearsal drains energy and focus. When you stop rehearsing problems verbally, you reduce their influence over your emotions and decisions. Gratitude is not politeness, it is positioning. When you speak gratitude for what is already working, you shift attention from lack to order. This does not mean ignoring challenges. It means refusing to let them dominate your language. Gratitude stabilizes emotion, and stable emotion allows better financial judgment. Many people unknowingly speak against their own supply. They say they want abundance but describe themselves as unlucky, unsupported, or always behind. This creates internal contradiction. Life responds to the dominant message, not the desired one. Consistency between desire and language is essential. Your inner dialogue is just as important as your spoken words. The conversations you have with yourself carry the same creative weight. If your inner voice constantly criticizes your financial situation, that criticism becomes your baseline. Changing inner language requires patience, but the effects are immediate. Peace increases before money does, and peace is the doorway through which money flows. Money thrives in environments of respect. When you speak about money with contempt or fear, you repel it. When you speak about it neutrally and confidently, you invite cooperation. Respect does not mean obsession, it means acknowledgement without emotional charge. You do not need to affirm loudly or dramatically. Soft consistency is enough. A quiet, steady language of sufficiency will outperform emotional declarations every time. Words whispered in certainty shape more than words shouted in desperation. The moment you become intentional with your language, you reclaim control. You stop leaking energy through complaint and start directing it through clarity. Your words either pull you into panic or anchor you in authority. Every sentence is a choice. When you understand that words are deposits or withdrawals, you begin speaking differently, not because you are trying to impress the universe, but because you value peace. And peace, when it comes to money, is not just emotional relief. It is a financial strategy. Provision does not arrive randomly, it moves toward readiness. Many people desire increase, yet internally they are not prepared to receive it. They want more money, but they still associate abundance with fear, guilt, or responsibility they feel unqualified to handle. As long as increase feels unsafe on the inside, it will remain limited on the outside. Life protects you from what you are not internally aligned to manage. Internal readiness is not about skill alone, it is about identity. If you still see yourself as someone who struggles, someone who barely gets by, or someone who is always catching up, then increase feels like a threat to that identity. The mind will subconsciously reject what contradicts its self-image. This is why opportunities sometimes disappear just as quickly as they appear. The issue is not access, it is alignment. Many people sabotage financial growth without realizing it. They delay decisions, procrastinate opportunities, or make careless choices right after receiving money. This behavior is not laziness or irresponsibility, it is internal conflict. The mind is trying to return to what feels familiar. If scarcity feels normal, abundance feels disruptive. To become internally ready, you must redefine what feels safe. Safety is not found in a specific amount of money, it is found in self-trust. When you trust yourself to manage, grow, and steward resources, money begins to trust you as well. Stewardship is an internal posture before it is an external practice. Fear is one of the greatest blockers of provision. Fear of losing money, fear of misusing it, fear of being judged for having it, or fear of changing relationships because of it. These fears create resistance. Resistance slows flow. Money moves most freely toward those who are emotionally neutral about it. Guilt also blocks readiness. Some people feel undeserving of abundance because of past mistakes, upbringing, or comparison. They believe having more would make them selfish or separate them from others. This guilt creates an invisible ceiling. Until guilt is released, increase will feel heavy rather than supportive. Internal readiness means you no longer see money as proof of worth or failure. You see it as a tool. Tools are used, not feared. When money is seen as a neutral resource, emotional attachment dissolves. Neutrality allows clarity, and clarity invites growth. Readiness also requires order. Disorder in thinking produces disorder in finances. When your mind is scattered, money feels chaotic. When your thinking is organized, money organizes itself around you. This does not require perfection, only intention. Small acts of order signal readiness. Many people believe readiness comes after increase. They think, once I have more, I'll become disciplined. But discipline is not produced by money. Money reveals discipline. Readiness always comes first. When your inner world demonstrates stability, the outer world mirrors it. Receiving is a skill. Some people are excellent at giving but uncomfortable receiving. They deflect compliments, help, and financial support. This discomfort communicates unpreparedness. Receiving with ease is a sign of maturity, not weakness. When you learn to receive without apology, you signal readiness. Internal readiness also means releasing urgency. Urgency is rooted in fear, and fear distorts judgment. Calm expectancy is readiness in action. When you trust timing, you stop forcing outcomes. Forced money often leaves quickly. Welcome money tends to stay. You do not prepare for provision by worrying about it. You prepare by becoming someone who can hold it without tension. This includes emotional regulation, clear boundaries, and healthy self-talk. When money enters a peaceful system, it circulates efficiently. Readiness is reflected in how you treat what you already have. Appreciation and care communicate alignment. Neglect and resentment communicate resistance. You do not need abundance to practice readiness. You practice readiness with what is present. Provision responds to inner permission. The moment you internally agree that it is safe to have more, to manage more, and to grow more, the path clears. Opportunities that once felt overwhelming become manageable. Choices become clearer. Confidence replaces hesitation. Internal readiness is quiet. It does not announce itself. It is felt as steadiness, not excitement. When you reach this state, provision begins moving toward you naturally, not dramatically, but consistently. And consistency is the truest form of abundance. Breakthrough rarely arrives in the way the mind predicts. The intellect prefers control, structure, and familiarity, yet provision often comes through surprise. This is why many people miss their financial shifts. They are looking in the wrong direction. They expect money to arrive through one specific channel, one predictable method, or one familiar source. When it does not appear there, they assume nothing is happening. In reality, movement is occurring where attention has not yet been placed. Expectation is not about demanding a specific outcome. It is about remaining open to multiple possibilities. When you lock your hope into one form, you limit flow. Openness keeps the door wide. Surprise is not chaos. It is expansion beyond what the mind has rehearsed. Those who experience consistent breakthroughs are not those who control the process, but those who trust it. Many people unknowingly block provision by tightening emotionally. They become rigid, anxious, and hyper, focused on results. This tension signals distrust. Money does not move easily in environments of pressure. It prefers cooperation, not force. When you relax your grip, you increase receptivity. Calm expectation is magnetic. Surprise provision often arrives through subtle shifts, an idea that feels simple, a conversation that sparks clarity, a timing adjustment that removes friction. Because it does not look dramatic, it is easy to dismiss. Yet small openings create large outcomes when recognized early. Awareness is the difference between missing and multiplying. There is also a timing element that cannot be rushed. Impatience creates interference. When you expect something too urgently, you compress the process and distort judgment. Patience is not passive, it is active trust. Trust keeps perception clear. Clear perception recognizes opportunity. People who experience surprise breakthroughs have learned to stay emotionally steady. They do not fluctuate wildly based on numbers or circumstances. This steadiness creates a stable internal environment where new possibilities can land. Instability repels clarity. Stability invites it. Expectation must be paired with permission. Some people say they expect good, but internally they do not believe it will last. They wait for the other shoe to drop. This skepticism cancels receptivity. When you truly expect good, you allow it to arrive without suspicion. You do not interrogate it, you receive it. Surprise also requires humility. Sometimes provision comes through help, not independence. Pride can block assistance. When you insist on doing everything alone, you limit the ways support can reach you. Allowing others to contribute is not weakness, it is alignment. Breakthrough often arrives disguised as inconvenience. A delay redirects you. A disappointment reroutes you. A closed door protects you. When you remain open instead of bitter, these redirections reveal their purpose. Resistance blinds, openness clarifies. Those who expect surprise remain curious rather than fearful. Curiosity expands options. Fear narrows them. When something unexpected happens, fear asks, what could go wrong? Curiosity asks, what could this lead to? The second question keeps momentum alive. There is a difference between hope and expectancy. Hope wishes, expectancy prepares. Preparation is subtle, it shows up as readiness, attention, and flexibility. When you are prepared, surprise feels manageable, not overwhelming. You recognize it as support rather than disruption. Money often responds to emotional alignment before financial planning. When your inner world is calm and receptive, opportunities synchronize naturally. You do not chase them, they intersect with you. This intersection feels effortless, but it is the result of internal readiness. Expecting surprise does not mean living unrealistically. It means staying open while remaining grounded. You plan responsibly, but you do not obsess. You act wisely, but you do not panic. Balance keeps the channel clear. The mind often dismisses early signs of breakthrough because they appear too small. But momentum builds incrementally. A small win restores confidence. Confidence sharpens perception. Sharpened perception attracts more opportunity. This is how surprise compounds. When you expect good, you notice good. When you notice good, you amplify it. Attention is fuel. What you attend to grows. Surprise provision thrives in environments where appreciation is present. Financial shifts often arrive when you least expect them emotionally, but not when you least expect them mentally. You remain mentally open, but emotionally relaxed. This combination allows life to move freely. Surprise is not random, it is coordinated. It arrives when resistance has softened and trust has matured. When you stop forcing outcomes and start allowing flow, breakthrough becomes natural. Expect the unexpected not with excitement, but with quiet confidence. When you do, you create space for provision to arrive in forms more intelligent, more timely, and more supportive than you could have planned.